Have you ever wondered why you've tried so hard, and yet your heart is still not truly free, still afraid, attached, and restless? This video is a complete journey. It takes you from the first step of seeing and letting go of me and mine, opens the insight into emptiness and the interbeing of all things, then rests in the silent sky of awakening, so that, in the end, you can touch the freedom beyond birth and death, and return to the boundless peace already living in your own heart. If, each day, we can truly understand and remember just one teaching of the Buddha, that alone is a precious treasure that can change the direction of our whole life. If something in this video touches your heart, you are warmly invited to leave a comment, share it with someone in need, and subscribe to Buddha's Loving Words so we can walk together on this path of awakening day by day. From me and mine to true freedom. If you listen carefully to a single day of your life, you will notice how often the words me and mine appear. My opinion, my feelings, my time, my child, my house, my career. It all sounds completely normal because everyone talks like that. But from those seemingly harmless words, countless forms of suffering quietly arise. When everything goes my way, we feel comfortable. The moment someone touches what's mine, we instantly feel uneasy, angry, and hurt. The path of liberation the Buddha taught does not begin with anything lofty. It begins very quietly with simply looking directly at these familiar attachments. The teaching says, liberation is freedom from the illusion of me and mine. And true freedom begins only when the ego comes to an end. So liberation is not about abandoning everything, running off to the mountains and forests, cutting off all relationships, and then calling that practice. Liberation means that right in the middle of family life, our work, and this busy, messy world, we can keep a mind that is no longer chained by me and mine. We still care for our loved ones, still work, still carry our responsibilities, but deep inside there is a lightness and freedom. We no longer cling so tightly that we lose our inner peace. In the scriptures, there is a story of a young mother who lost her only child. The shock was so great that she almost went mad, carrying her child's body in her arms, running everywhere, begging people to bring him back to life. Everyone felt deep pity for her, but no one could help. Finally, she was brought to the Buddha. Hearing her desperate pleas, he did not say, "You must accept the truth," and he did not say, "Stop crying." He gently told her, "Go and bring me a handful of mustard seeds from a house where no one has ever died." The mother immediately set out, holding on to the fragile hope that there might still be a miracle for her child. But at every house she went to, she received the same answer. "In my house, someone has died. My father passed away long ago. My child also just died." The more she walked and knocked on doors, the more her tears fell. Not only because she missed her child, but also because she began to realize something. The pain she thought was mine alone was actually the shared story of countless families. When she returned to the Buddha, she was no longer running around wildly with her child in her arms. The pain was still there, but within that pain, a ray of understanding had appeared. The child she called mine was in fact only a coming together of conditions. And when the conditions ended, he had to go. That story does more than remind us about impermanence. It touches the very root of our clinging to mine. Anything we hold tightly in our heart and label as mine, whether it is family, possessions, reputation, or even opinions and beliefs, we are ready to suffer for it. When we clearly see that everything is born from conditions, comes and goes, meets and then separates, we naturally begin to loosen the tight grip of our hand. The dissolving of that attachment is the very first step on the path of liberation. But letting go of mine alone is not enough. More deeply, the Buddha invites us to look back at the very me that we always assume is so obvious. There is a very beautiful question. When the I disappears, who are you? When we were children, we were taught, this is you, this is your name. You are this kind of person. You are that kind of person. As we grow up, we gather many things together and call them me. This face, this personality, these preferences, this past story. We build an image of ourselves and believe that this image is our true nature. And yet, if we calmly look deeply, we will see that this body is just a river of constant change. Our form as a child, as a teenager, in middle age, and then in old age. There is no single fixed body of mine that stays the same. It is a combination of food, air, water, genes, and our living conditions. Our mind is the same way. Thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall. Yesterday we liked something. Today we may be bored with it. One day we are angry at someone. The next day we may care for them again. There is no fixed my mind there, only a continual stream of change. In the teachings, they use the image of a cart to explain this. A cart is called a cart because its wheels, axle, body, seat, and handle are put together. If we take the parts apart, we cannot find a separate cart anywhere apart from those parts. Human beings are the same, only body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness coming together. We temporarily call this me for convenience, but if we cling to it as a separate, unchanging entity, then that very moment is illusion. There was a layman who came to complain to a Zen master that he was very unhappy because no one understood him. Whatever he did, he felt judged and criticized. The master asked, "When people praise you as good, do you feel happy?" He answered, "Yes, I feel very happy." "And when people say you are bad, do you feel sad?" "Yes, I feel terribly sad." The Zen master smiled. "So your joy and your sadness are hanging from other people's mouths, not standing on a true understanding of yourself. The I you are defending is mostly just an image built from the praise and blame of the world." When we understand this, we begin to see that non-self is not denying ourselves and not living carelessly or irresponsibly. On the contrary, those who see non-self often live very deeply with each action, each word, and each thought, because they know everything is connected. Without a me that must always win, we can listen more and understand and love more. Without a mine we cling to until we can't breathe, we can give without feeling we are losing. The path of liberation, therefore, does not begin with grand gestures, but from very ordinary moments. In an argument, if we simply pause for a moment and ask ourselves, am I defending the truth or just protecting a hurt ego? When a plan falls apart, we may notice we are clinging to the idea, everything must go exactly my way. When someone does not act as we expect, we can see another layer of clinging arise. They must appreciate me. They must recognize my efforts. Each time we notice this, another thick layer of ego falls away. At some point, we will more deeply understand this truth. When we truly see non-self, we discover our boundless true nature. That nature is not locked inside a name, a role, or a past story. It is as vast as the sky, not limited by praise or blame, not chained by what we gain or lose. Letting go of I does not mean we disappear. It does not mean we lose ourselves. It means we return to a larger self, more spacious and compassionate, more peaceful. Whenever you feel yourself tightening up around the words me or mine, try taking a deep breath and gently remind your heart, liberation is freedom from the illusion of me and mine. If I loosen this ego a little, I will feel lighter. By starting with such small steps, the path of liberation is no longer something distant, but is quietly opening up under each of your footsteps, right here in this present life. Emptiness and interbeing, seeing yourself in all things. When we begin to loosen our grip on me and mine, a new doorway opens in our awareness. The world is no longer billions of separate individuals colliding and competing with one another, but becomes a living web of countless interwoven connections. From there, The teachings on emptiness and interbeing are no longer abstract, difficult philosophies, but become a very intimate experience in our daily life. Emptiness in the Buddha's teaching does not mean nothingness, meaningless, nothing left at all. On the contrary, emptiness is the deep truth that nothing exists separately, by itself, without relying on countless conditions. A flower can never grow by itself. In the flower, there is soil, rain, sunlight, the gardener, and also time, space, and climate. When we look deeply into a single petal, we can see the whole universe. The flower is empty of a separate, independent self, yet it is full of all its causes and conditions. Emptiness is like that, empty of a separate self, but complete in its connection with everything. Zen teachers often invite their students to hold up a sheet of paper and look very carefully. At first, we just see a piece of paper. But if we pause a little longer, we begin to see the cloud that brought the rain that soaked into the earth, the tree drawing nutrients to grow, the woodcutter who went into the forest, the workers in the paper mill, their meals, and the drops of sweat they shed. All of that is present in that small sheet of paper. Without the cloud, there is no paper. Without the sun, there is no paper. Without the farmer growing rice to feed the workers, there would also be no paper. When we see like this, we understand this sentence. In emptiness, all phenomena inter-are, nothing exists alone. Each thing is no longer a separate unit, but a knot in an infinite web of conditions. We are the same. What we call me is not separate from our parents, ancestors, country, era, environment, and the many people who have passed through our life. We are formed from glances, smiles, and words, from both the wounds and the support of countless people. Looking deeply into ourselves, we can see a whole river of millions of causes flowing within us. Long ago, there was a young novice monk who asked his teacher, "Master, I hear about emptiness and I feel afraid. If everything is empty, then why should I practice? Why should I live?" The teacher smiled and pointed out into the yard where a lotus flower was blooming. "Look at that lotus. Do you see the mud in the lotus?" The novice replied, "Yes, without the mud there would be no lotus." "And do you see the lotus in the mud?" The novice hesitated. The teacher continued, "In the mud, the lotus is already there, and in the lotus, the mud is also there. Emptiness is just like that. Because nothing is fixed or unchanging, the lotus can bloom out of the mud. Because there is no rigid me, you can transform, grow, and become someone different from who you were. If everything truly existed in a fixed way, then mud would always be mud, suffering would always be suffering, and you would always remain as you were yesterday, with no hope of change. It is exactly because all things are empty of fixed essence that the path of transformation can open." Hearing this, the novice's fear slowly faded. He realized that emptiness is not a dark hole of nothingness, but a vast ocean of possibilities. Nothing is locked in forever, so anything can change. A person full of anger today can still become gentle in the future. A heart shattered by suffering can still blossom into understanding and love. Emptiness is the very ground for all the miracles of practice. When we look at everything through the lens of interbeing, we no longer see ourselves as a small, isolated individual lost in this world. We are children of the earth, children of the sky, children of countless conditions. When we drink a sip of water, we know we are also drinking the cloud. When we eat a grain of rice, we can see in it the sweat of many people. A natural sense of gratitude grows in us, and we can no longer live carelessly with the environment or with other people, because harming them is harming ourselves. This is the wisdom of emptiness, not just a philosophical idea, but a way of walking, standing, lying down, and sitting in everyday life. From this insight into emptiness and interbeing, another doorway opens, the doorless door. Practitioners often have a common mindset, chasing enlightenment somewhere far away. We think if we can reach a special temple, meet a special teacher, and follow a special method, then we will finally have a chance to awaken. That seeking mind can sometimes be a good motivation, helping us take our first steps, but if we cling to it for too long, we unintentionally turn enlightenment into something to be owned, a goal in the future, and we forget the present moment. Zen masters often use the phrase, the gateless gate, to remind us that in reality, there is no door we must pass through to awaken, because enlightenment is not outside of us. It is not waiting at some faraway horizon, but is right here in each step we take, each breath we breathe, each thought we recognize as a thought. There is nothing we need to enter, only the awareness of this very moment. When the mind stops chasing and searching, comes to rest, and returns fully to this moment, that is the gate itself. Once, a young seeker traveled everywhere in search of the way. He heard that in the East there was an enlightened master, so he crossed mountains and forests to find him. When he met the master, the first thing he did was ask, "Master, please show me the door into the way." The master looked at him for a moment and then asked in return, "When you came here, what did you use to walk?" He replied, "Master, I walked here with these legs." "And when you drink water, who is drinking?" "Master, it is me." The master nodded. "You can already walk, you can already drink, so why are you still asking where the door is?" The seeker did not understand and kept begging for a more profound teaching. The master pointed to the sky. "When you look up, the sky is there. When you look down, the earth is here. When you are hungry, you eat. When you are tired, you sleep. When you walk, you know you are walking. When you speak, you know words are being spoken. That is the way. The door is right under your feet, in each breath, not in some other place." That answer is not meant to reject dedicated practice, but to remind the student, if we only chase after some special experience, some dramatic flash of awakening, we will miss the very ordinary moments that are the true foundation of mindfulness. Enlightenment is not always a sudden thunderclap in a clear sky, but is often like dawn slowly rising, with light arriving gently and quietly as we live fully with whatever is present. When we understand this, we see that this simple sentence, "Stop searching, just be awake," contains a whole treasure. It does not mean we stop seeking and give up on life, but that we transform the energy of searching outside into a returning to the inside. Instead of thinking, "Someday when conditions are better, I will be at peace," we practice breathing and ask, "Right now, in the middle of all that is happening, can I take a single mindful step? Can I take one deep, conscious breath? Can I recognize the anger burning in my chest without letting it burn everything down?" Each time we can do that, the gateless gate becomes a little clearer. As our insight into emptiness and inner being deepens, and we let go little by little of chasing some future enlightenment, we begin to see something beautiful. It's not that we are moving toward enlightenment, but that enlightenment is slowly revealing itself in each moment that we live deeply, honestly, and awake. The whole journey is no longer a race toward a vague destination, but each step is a returning to ourselves, returning to the miraculous life happening right here. And that is the foundation for us to enter the next stage of the path, dwelling in a mind as vast as the open sky, where all searching gently comes to rest. A mind like the open sky, when the seeker grows still. When insight into emptiness and interbeing begins to sink into the heart, the practitioner slowly realizes they no longer stand as a small, separate me, isolated in the middle of life. Everything feels lighter, more spacious. From that web of connections, a very beautiful image appears. The awakened mind is like a cloudless sky. Clouds can come and go, thick or thin, dark gray or pure white, but the sky is always there, vast and clear, not clinging to any cloud, not rejecting any cloud. The awakened mind is like that. No more grasping, no more running away, just quietly embracing and seeing clearly. Long ago, a meditation student came to ask his teacher, "Master, what is the awakened mind? Is it a special state, the highest happiness, with no sadness or pain at all?" The teacher led him outside and pointed to the evening sky, covered with gray clouds. He asked, "Do you see the sky?" The student answered, "Today there are so many clouds, I only see the clouds." The teacher smiled, "Because you are staring at the clouds, you forget the sky. In truth, the sky is still there, holding all the clouds. Your mind is the same. When you only look at sadness, joy, winning, losing, pain, and pleasure, you think you are only those things. But behind them, there is a sky much wider than all of that." The student still did not fully understand, but inside it felt as if a door had been slightly open. Later on, during a long retreat, that student went through a very difficult time. Old memories came back, old wounds reappeared, bursts of anger rose up for no clear reason. He thought to himself, "I'm practicing more, but becoming worse." So shame and disappointment grew in his heart. One evening, after sitting meditation, he came to see his teacher, his eyes filled with tears. "I feel so much darkness inside. I thought that with practice I would become peaceful, but the more I sit still, the more ugly things rise up in me. Maybe I am not meant for this path?" The teacher asked only one question. "Do you see that, alongside all the storms inside, there is still a place in you that is aware of all those storms?" The student was surprised. "Yes, I do see that. When I am angry, I know I am angry. When I am sad, I know I am sad." The teacher nodded. "That knowing is the sky. It has never been stained by any cloud. You only need to return to that knowing, stay with it, and slowly you will understand what a vast, clear, non-attached mind is." From there, we begin to understand that awakening does not mean our emotions disappear. It means a stability and clarity so deep that emotions no longer rule us. Clouds still come, rain still falls, storms can still appear, but the sky is not torn apart and does not call itself ugly because of one dark cloud. The awakened mind simply sees and embraces everything without mistaking itself for any passing phenomenon. Resting in that clarity, we begin to taste the flavor of freedom. When we have lived for a long time with a sky-like mind, the practitioner is naturally less haunted by questions like, "When will I finally awaken? When will I reach the goal?" The journey of seeking slowly settles down. At the beginning of practice, everyone has a motivation: to be free from suffering, to find peace, to understand truth. That motivation is not wrong, but along with it, there is often a very eager seeker, always comparing, measuring, imagining a brilliant tomorrow when they will become a completely different person. If that seeker is not clearly seen, they will keep feeding inner restlessness. There is a very deep teaching. The path of seeking truth ends when the seeker disappears. At first, we may misunderstand this and think, then who practices? Who realizes? Who is liberated? But the meaning is this: as long as there is an ego standing apart, claiming, "I am the one seeking enlightenment," we are still quietly creating a distance between me and truth, between the practitioner and the result to be attained. That distance feeds tension, effort, and craving. When that ego is illuminated by non-self and emptiness, it gradually dissolves, and what remains is life itself, revealing itself in each moment without anyone having to chase it. There is a story about a young meditator. After many years of practice, he finally had an experience that he felt was breakthrough. One night during meditation, his mind suddenly sank into a very deep stillness. Thoughts seemed to fall away, leaving only a light, indescribable peace. The next morning, he ran to his teacher, excited and emotional. Last night, I think I awakened. I felt myself dissolve into everything. No more separation. I have never felt such peace. The teacher listened carefully, then gently asked, "Good. That experience is precious. But today, if someone speaks to you in a hurtful way, will you still keep that same peace?" The meditator froze, then admitted, "Well, if someone criticized me, I would probably still feel hurt." The teacher smiled. "Then don't rush to call it done. Keep living, keep breathing, keep seeing clearly every reaction that arises in you. Don't hold on to any experience, no matter how beautiful, and stamp it, 'This is enlightenment.' When there is no one left to claim and display, 'I have awakened,' only then will you understand more deeply what you are really seeking." Those words were like a splash of cold water, but full of kindness. They remind us that the journey is not about collecting extraordinary experiences and building a new spiritual ego, but about slowly dissolving every idea of me. When there is no one left to boast, no one left to compare my level of enlightenment to others, we begin to live a life that looks very ordinary, yet is deeply profound. Washing dishes is just washing dishes. Sweeping the floor is just sweeping the floor. Caring for our loved ones is simply caring for our loved ones. In each action there is full presence, a quiet steadiness. This is when the seeker slowly disappears, leaving only the path and each step being taken. And in this way, we touch another dimension of awakening: silence. Silence here is not a dead, empty stillness, but a very subtle kind of life that is no longer agitated by the urge to force and struggle. When all striving to compete, all efforts to become somebody are released, a very deep quiet begins to appear. In that quiet, truth does not arrive like a thunderbolt, but like a gentle light spreading softly, without words. There is a story about a Dharma talk where the Buddha did not speak at all. That day, the assembly gathered around, everyone waiting for a profound teaching. But he simply picked up a flower, held it quietly, and looked at it in silence, without saying a single word. The whole assembly was confused, except for one great disciple who smiled softly. That smile was seen as a sign of a silent understanding. Sometimes truth cannot be wrapped in words. It is transmitted through a deep resonance, a shared seeing of reality beyond concepts. That story reminds us that awakening is not always more words and more theories, but a return to a kind of silence where concepts no longer dominate. In our own life, we can taste a little of that silence, even if we are not fully awakened. It is there in the moments we sit quietly, place a hand on our chest, feel the breath going in and out, and realize we do not have to do anything. We do not have to prove anything. We do not have to become anyone else. We are simply here with this body, this breath, this moment. When the noise of thought slows down, we can hear a very small but very honest voice inside. "This is enough. I am alive. I am here. I don't need to keep running." A mind as vast as the sky, a journey of seeking that has grown quiet, and silence spreading into each breath. This is the face of awakening at this part of the path. Not loud, not flashy, not for show, but like a still lake reflecting the whole sky, the mountains, and the white clouds. Anyone who passes by can see themselves in it, can see again their true face, if they dare to stop and look deeply into the water. Beyond birth and death, coming home to your true peace. When the mind begins to get used to stillness, to a vast inner sky no longer swept away by every cloud of emotion, a natural question appears. In the end, where is this whole journey taking me? From the very first steps of letting go of me and mine, through the insight of emptiness and interbeing, then living more deeply in the quiet of mindfulness. Where, finally, are we heading? The Buddha's teaching answers very gently. In the end, it is only a journey of coming back to ourselves, coming back to the quiet source of the heart that has always been there, where all fear of birth and death is loosened, and an infinite peace begins to reveal itself. From the viewpoint of someone who still clings to this body as me, death is a full stop, a tragedy, a total loss. We fear death, so we also fear aging, fear sickness, fear separation. Because of that, our whole life is covered by a subtle anxiety. We are moving toward an ending that we cannot escape. But in the eyes of one who sees beyond the idea of a separate self, birth and death are only two sides of one process of transformation. They are like waves rising and falling on the surface of the ocean, while the water is still water, never truly born, never truly destroyed. The elders told a story about a disciple who loved his teacher very deeply. For many years of practice, he always carried a hidden fear. One day, his old teacher would leave this world. Whenever he heard anyone speak about impermanence, his heart quietly tightened. When the teacher grew very ill and everyone knew he was close to passing, the disciple could not hold back. He cried like a child. The teacher asked, "Why are you crying?" He choked and said, "I am crying because I think that, from tomorrow on, I will no longer have you. Who will guide me?" The teacher smiled and pointed to the moonlight outside the window. "Do you see the moon reflected on the surface of the water?" The disciple nodded. "If someday the water moves, and the moon in the water disappears, would you dare to say that the moon in the sky also vanished?" The disciple fell silent. The teacher continued, "This body is like the water, sometimes calm, sometimes disturbed. Some days it is here, someday it will be gone. But the true knowing, seeing, understanding, and loving that I have passed on to you does not arise and does not disappear. Do not cling to the outer form and forget the inner essence." That simple story opens a door for us. It points to a dimension of truth that is not tied to time, space, or physical body. As long as we cling to this as a separate me, we see birth as me gaining more and death as me losing everything. But when we clearly see that all phenomena are only flows of changing conditions, birth and death are no longer two opposite poles. A newborn child is the continuation of many lifetimes, not something that pops up out of nowhere. A person who dies is the transformation of many physical and mental elements, not someone who has fallen into a blank void. Seeing this deeply, our fear of birth and death softens. Not because we try to act brave, but because we no longer see reality in a distorted way. From that insight, we slowly understand what freedom beyond birth and death means. Freedom here does not mean that this body suddenly becomes immortal, never aging, never sick, never dying. This body is made of earth, water, air, and warmth. Once it has taken a form, it will one day fall apart. But the mind, if it no longer identifies itself with the body, no longer clings to the idea, "I am this body, I am these roles, I am this personal story," then even when the body changes, deep inside there remains a ground that does not shake. One who has that freedom is not someone who escapes death, but someone who can look directly at it, call it by its true name, another continuation of conditions coming together, and therefore is no longer controlled by it. From here, we see more clearly what it means to return to the source. Many people think that only by going to the mountains, leaving the city, can we call it returning. In truth, there are people living right in the marketplace whose hearts are peaceful and spacious, while there are others living inside temples whose minds are still full of comparison and jealousy. The source here is not a location on a map, but a quiet sky within the heart, where we no longer run after each thought, emotion, success, and failure. Every time we pause, breathe deeply, and loosen the story spinning in our head, we are touching that source. There was a teacher who went to the well to draw water every day. His students saw that he was already old. They felt sorry for him and asked to do it in his place. But he calmly continued each day to carry 2 buckets of water back to his hut. One day, a student asked, "Master, why don't you let us do it? You only need to sit in meditation. That is enough." The teacher looked at his student with gentle eyes. "If I do not draw water with my own hands every day, it is very easy to forget who I am." The answer sounds strange, but the meaning is deep. Simple actions like drawing water, chopping wood, washing dishes, when done in mindfulness, become the rope that ties us back to the quiet source of the heart. In those very ordinary movements, we return to the present moment, to the breath, to the body, to life as it is happening. That is, returning to the source in each moment, not waiting until everything is finished to come back. When we get used to returning like that, we begin to taste a kind of peace very different from ordinary, pleasant feelings. It is not the joy of being praised, not the excitement of success, and not just the relief of escaping a problem. All of those are fragile. They come and go, and often leave behind a sense of emptiness and letdown. The peace spoken of in the teachings is deeper, quieter, not dependent on whether outer conditions are favorable or difficult. It is like the deep ocean. Even when waves are raging on the surface, the seafloor remains still. A layperson once came to a Zen master and said, "I also practice. I also meditate. I also listen to the Dharma. Sometimes I feel very light, very peaceful, but as soon as I go outside, get stuck in traffic, or someone cuts me off, I get angry again. At home, when my family says something I don't like, I get irritated again. Does this mean I still don't have true peace?" The teacher replied, "It is not that you do not have peace. It is that you do not yet trust it deeply. You put your faith in circumstances. So when circumstances change, your peace disappears. If you learn to come back to the breath, to the body, to awareness in your body and mind whenever you are pulled away, then gradually you will see there is a region of peace that is not trapped in traffic, not trapped in other people's words. It is always there, waiting for you to come home." The infinite peace the teachings speak of is exactly that inner sky. It is not a reward for a small, special group, but the true nature present in every living being. We do not need to create peace. We only need to remove the layers that cover it, the layer of anger, the layer of attachment, the layer of fear, the layer of ignorance. When those layers become thinner, our peaceful nature naturally shines through, like the sun that has always been there, only covered by clouds. At the end of the journey, we suddenly realize something very simple. We have walked a very long circle, only to return to the very place we once stood. But if we had not walked, we would never have known the value of that place. If we had never chased after me and mine, never collided, never suffered, we might never have longed for liberation. If we had never misunderstood life, we might never have seen the beauty of emptiness in interbeing. If we had never been lost in chasing and competing, we might never have cherished the moments of returning to inner stillness. So, no step on the path is meaningless. Every step is a breath of the same journey, the journey of returning to our original peaceful nature. And perhaps the deepest invitation for each of us is simply to dare to believe that this peace truly lives within us. We do not need to wait until we are perfect, without mistakes, without failures, to feel worthy of peace. Right now, even with all our imperfections, we can still close our eyes, breathe softly, place a hand on our chest and whisper, "Amid all these changes, there is still a place in me, quiet and clear, unborn and undying. I choose to return there." Every time we return like this, we take one more step into the sky of freedom beyond birth and death, into the home of the heart's source, where boundless peace has been patiently waiting for us for a very, very long time. If something in today's video gently touches your heart, please let me know with a like, a comment, or by sharing it with someone you feel may need it. And if you'd like to hear a Buddha teaching each day to nourish your inner peace, you're warmly invited to subscribe to Buddha's Loving Words and turn on the notification bell so we can keep walking together on this path of awakening.
From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for supporting Buddha's Loving Words. May the teachings of the Buddha continue to touch every heart, bringing peace and happiness.